Still ahead here on a Sunday morning. You may look at them simply as a way to get across the river, but our next guest says they are simply magnificent.
We are chatting with the author of a new book on the bridges of New York City, and he'll tell us which one is his favorite after the break. Think about yours.
Oh, I have one.
Oh, you got one? We'll talk about that. Coming up here on Today in New York. We're back on this Sunday morning with a live look at, well, one of the newer bridges in the tri-state area. It's not a New York City bridge, but it's the Governor Mario M. Cuomo Bridge. And you're very passionate about these spans. We are talking bridges. Many spans featured in the new book, The Magnificent Bridges of New York City. Dave Frieder is the photographer behind this book. He's been fascinated by bridges since he was a little boy. And he says this book that you put out here is more than a quarter century in the making. Dave, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you, yes.
Tell me about how the project got started and what sort of elicited your passion for this.
Okay, well, actually, I'm from Queens. I grew up in Queens.
What neighborhood? I'm from Queens, too.
Brooklyn, not Brooklyn, I'm sorry. I'm getting a little confused here.
Oh, that's
I
right.
grew up in Flushing.
I was born in Flushing. Okay.
Northern Boulevard.
There you go. Okay, so you get started there.
Over Northern Boulevard, there was the old Bascule-Flushing Bridge. It used to open up like this, the Bascule.
One of the smaller ones and less famous ones.
Yeah, going over the Flushing River. So when you're a little kid in your car and you see this bridge coming up at you like this, that is so fascinating. So then I used to go with my father into Manhattan, seeing all the other bridges, seeing the Queensboro Bridge, and seeing the finials on top, or I call them crowns, that held once a 50-foot flag mast.
Yeah.
I'm looking at them and said, I wonder what it'd be like to be at the top of the bridge, seeing those close up. I didn't realize that years later, I'd be climbing them. But my passion began when I started getting involved with photography. My father showed me a poster of Ansel Adams' Moonrise, and that fascinated me. So I took some workshops with people that used to work for Ansel, and I got more and more involved. And then two people, John Sexton, who used to work for Ansel, and another fellow named Ron Wisner, had climbed the Golden Gate Bridge.
Okay.
So
now, I'm seeing some pictures of you on these spans. I'm assuming you did this legally. How the heck did you get up? Because it is illegal to go on them on your own. How'd you get up on these bridges and take these photos?
It was totally legal. I had to tell all the bridge authorities. Now, there's 4 bridge authorities. There's DBTA, Port Authority, New York City DOT, and Amtrak. They own the Hellgate Bridge. So I had to explain to them I wanted to work on making a coffee table book on New York's bridges.
Right.
So I had to have my insurance. I had no fear of
all
heights.
the paperwork and all of that.
And
what's it like to be on top of these bridges?
It is phenomenal. It is
you're not scary at all? Clearly you don't have a fear of heights.
Doesn't faze me one bit. It's like sitting here. The higher the better, actually. I love being up high. It is so cool being up so high.
When you're up there this high and you're taking these photos, is there something about these bridges that grabs you that you might not normally feel using them for commuting and working like most of us do?
They're giant sculptures. They're
giant sculptures.
They're giant works of art. They're just incredible, especially Manhattan Bridge. It's not the most favorite bridge. It's my favorite East River crossing, but there's so many what I call architectural embellishments all over the structure.
How so? What do you mean?
There's diamond patterns. There's on top of the spheres. You have those spheres, or people call them globes. They're actually spheres. They're finials. And below it, these look like these radar dishes. But who would know what they were?
When you say they're sculptures and they're pieces of art, do you think these designers and architects and builders were like artists do in other mediums, trying to give us a message or say something with these spans, other than just using them as just a kind of a computer appliance?
They're probably projecting what they feel. So they're artists in their own right.
What do you think they were trying to say? I mean, is there a particular bridge that you think carries a message, a powerful message for you?
Well, the Queens.
You said, like, I mean, for me, everyone has their favorite spans. I mean, I think of the Brooklyn Bridge, which I think opened, it was 1883?
1883.
1883. Yes. I mean, and that, in some ways, made New York. I mean, Brooklyn was its own city, Manhattan was its own.
Yes.
And that unified us, and that really set us into the era that we live in now, with all the boroughs being connected by them.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so when you're taking these down, as we take, I believe that we have some live images of the Brooklyn Bridge right there.
Yes.
Do you think these bridges that we deal with now, and sometimes we're stuck in traffic jams on them, were they designed to last as long as we deal with them now?
Some of them were, but now, since a lot of them had major rehabilitations, like the Brooklyn, now they're replacing, on the George Washington Bridge, they're replacing all the suspender ropes. And
we got a live look at that there. And actually, I was up there last March, because this is a multi-year project they're doing there.
Yes.
You say the GWB, correct me if I'm wrong, is your favorite bridge.
That's my favorite.
Why is it your favorite? I mean, of all the options you have there, why?
Well, I've crossed that more than any other bridge, and it is just a marvel of civil engineering. It is the way it's designed. It could actually hold 3 decks. You could actually install another deck on top of the upper roadway, and it would actually hold the weight. That's how strong it is.
And it really makes the tri-state area what it is.
Yeah, and this is what the main cables are comprised of. Each main cable is 26,474 wires.
Yes, I think people always think it's one strand. It's actually a lot all
these wires that are compressed together to make a round cable, and there's 4 of them.
Okay. Well, it's absolutely great to have you here today. Oh, but before we go,
yes.
Is it Kosciuszko? How do you say Kosciuszko?
I think it's Kosciuszko.
Kosciuszko.
I'm not sure.
This is a great debate that.
But the big debate also is the Goethals Bridge, and it is Goethals.
Goethals versus Goethals?
It's Goethals. Guaranteed. Goethals.
You decide. Once again, the book is The Magnificent Bridges of New York City. The Goethals. Photographer and author Dave Frieder. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time. We'll be right back after this.